It's been more than 100 years since women across the world started celebrating a day just for them. Ahead of this year's International Women's Day on Tuesday, we've asked some of the UK's most inspirational women what being female means to them, and why women are still being held back today. Steph Reed, Paralympian. My mum Carol was always ahead of her time. I will never forget, we were away on a weekend with my dad and his friends. The men were playing a golf competition to see who could get closest to the hole. They all took a shot. They were about to see who the winner was, when my mum said, "Hang on, I want to go." She took a shot and won. It proves gender doesn't matter. I can go out and compete with men, it's not a barrier. Steph is a tower of strength. Image, Loughborough Echo. It's happened a few times when I've felt like people were more interested in working with a male. It makes you feel small and want to shrink. My biggest female inspiration is Chantal Petitclerc. She is widely regarded as the best wheelchair racer of all time. She told me there is no one path to excellence. You have to forge your own path and be brave enough to do that. Steph says she can go out and compete with men. Image, AFP, Getty Images. Gloria Hunniford, TV presenter. WHO is teaming up with fellow ITV hosts to promote International Women's Day. An elderly woman in Dublin stopped me last year and whispered, "I love that loose women. You talk about sex and we were never allowed to. These days, we can discuss any subject, and that's a big change." I grew up in a conservative house in Ireland watching my mother desperate to do something, but Dad wouldn't allow her to have a job. It was different for me. Gloria Hunniford says she was able to have different experiences to her mother. Most read. Postman shares why the P is written on the front of letters, leaving Brits amazed. The Ukraine war pictures Vladimir Putin doesn't want Russians to see, and why Russian troops are raping numerous women in Ukraine, Foreign Minister says. I liked the independence that work gave me. I thought I was going to be a singer until I met a forward-thinking BBC producer who convinced me otherwise. It was 1969 and the start of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. He said, "Remember, as a woman you're not coming here to do knitting and sewing and recipes. You will be as good as any man reporting on bombs, bullets and barricades just like them." He was the key to making me feel like I could do this job. Gloria has joined her fellow ITV hosts to promote International Women's Day. Don't miss. Postman shares why the P is written on the front of letters, leaving Brits amazed. The Ukraine war pictures Vladimir Putin doesn't want Russians to see, and why Russian troops are raping numerous women in Ukraine, Foreign Minister says. Postman explains what it really means if you see the letter P written on your mail. Jess Phillips, Labour MP and Shadow Minister for Domestic Violence and Safeguarding. The women of the 1997 general election changed my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. They knew young mums needed support with childcare. They built a ladder for women like me. My mum was like Erin Brockovich. She was a freedom fighter. She sued the biggest pharmaceutical company in the country because they blinded my nan. She still inspires me every day. Women face many of the same challenges in 2022 that they did in 1922. They are still lower paid, they are still not safe in their homes, in their workplaces and on the Labour MP Jess Phillips has been inspired by the women in her family. Image, copyright 2021 Steve Bainbridge. On International Women's Day, I want women to know they should never be grateful for progress made, they should always be desperate for more. Katie Piper, activist. The survivors and volunteers I have met through my charity, the Katie Piper Foundation, are the women who have taught me I can do anything. I have felt discriminated against, not only because I'm female, but because my appearance isn't society's norm. Katie Piper says her mum is her biggest inspiration. Gender-based discrimination happens every single day, in so many different circumstances. Conversation helps, and we need to keep having open, honest conversations. My mum Diane is my biggest female inspiration. She is the definition of a strong, resilient woman. I'll teach both of my girls that the world is their oyster, and I'll do what I can to make that path easy for them, as a mother and as a woman. Angela Rayner, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Women are just brilliant, aren't they? I am incredibly lucky to be surrounded by a huge variety of wonderful women in every part of my life. It is because of the encouragement of the women I worked with that I became their trade union rep. And it was a woman, my mom in the movement, Sue Forster, that dragged me into becoming so involved with Uniso and ultimately becoming an MP. My best friends from school, the women that I caused mischief with as a teenager, are still some of my best friends today. They supported me through a teen pregnancy when none of us had any money and absolutely no clue. My women MP friends are brilliant, and I am proud to be able to navigate the weird world of Westminster alongside them. We celebrate each other's successes and we protect each other when it gets rough. What do you think? Have your say in our comments below. Deputy Leader of the Labour Party Angela Rayner says she loves working with her fellow female MPs, Image, Julian Hamilton, Sunday Mirror. When I was younger, I don't think I never saw feminism as something for me. I was a social carer raising a tiny child on my own. Feminists were white middle class women asking for a place at the boardroom table. But I learned that wasn't the case. Feminism is creating the space for each of us to authentically be ourselves, without fear of discrimination or harm. Feminism has plenty of space for gobby northern gingers. I am only where I am because of the love, encouragement and kindness I was shown by women for many years. Get the news you want straight to your inbox. Sign up for a Mirror newsletter here. International Women's Day is a moment for us to celebrate what it means to be ourselves and commit for another year to be there for each other. If you do nothing else this International Women's Day, please join me in sending a postcard, a note or a text to woman you think is wonderful and telling them why. It might just be the little boost they need. Jessica Jane Applegate, Paralympic swimmer and MenCap ambassador. I come from a single-parent family and my mom has been the biggest influence in my life. She has taught me so much. My auntie also taught me cheeky, naughty things when I was younger, but that was to wind my mom up. My nanny also used to take me out into the garden and teach me about flowers and butterflies. I struggle with my mental health and I love being in nature. I find it helps. My learning disability affects me daily in everything from my organization skills, reading and writing abilities to my training at the pool. I rely on the support around me for so much, and my coach Alex is amazing. Before a race, she used to make me flip charts of small pictures to take with me to keep me. Swimmer Jessica Jane Applegate campaigns to help women and girls with learning disabilities. Image, Getty. For many years I haven't been able to compete at the Commonwealth Games, not because I am not fast enough or because my classification wasn't included, but because men were included but women were not. This made me angry to start with, and I had to watch my teammates get all their lovely kit and go off to competitions I wasn't allowed at. In the end I had an opportunity with MenCap to raise the issue in Parliament. Never did I think the rules would change in my career, but only 2 weeks ago I raced in Aberdeen and got the qualifying time. International Women's Day is important to me because I try to campaign for inclusion for everyone, and women in sport is really important, so this day is the day we can celebrate and promote all the fantastic female role models out there, as well as share stories of inspiration. I would say to young girls who have a learning disability, you can achieve anything, anything is possible. Dr. Sagida Bibi, Senior Postdoctoral RESEARCHERAT, the University of Oxford and member of the Oxford Vaccine Group. I am first generation born in the UK after my parents arrived here from Pakistan. Education in Pakistani communities across the UK was not seen as a priority for girls at the time. I didn't know any Muslim or Pakistani female that had gone to university or into science. There are still many girls that don't have strong female role models in their families and communities, but that should not deter them. Dr. Sagida Bibi on stage at Pride of Britain with her colleagues, Image, Daily Mirror, Andy Stenning. When I looked around when I was younger, it seemed like success and careers weren't for people like me. You never felt quite good enough, and this is reinforced through difficult experiences like racism and prejudice that you face growing up. I don't think I ever thought I would be going to university because the concept was never instilled either at home or school. If you keep striving for the next step even if you don't have your whole future mapped out, then you quickly realize that you are on an uncharted but exciting path. I didn't get my PhD until I was 31, but I didn't give up. Even when people told me I wouldn't make it, that it was too late, too difficult, or my grades weren't good enough. It's important that you remember your strengths, not your weaknesses, and don't let anybody else's expectations for you define your future path. It is important to recognize that barriers for people of color, let alone women, in educational and employment workplaces still exist, and we are still striving for better representation in the scientific fields. I am part of a fantastic group and a scientist that helped develop the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, and still get amazed that the girl at school who wasn't even sure she should do A-levels made it this far. I get to work alongside some of the greatest researchers in the world and help some of the poorest to get the vaccines that they should, and that's a privilege that I never take for granted. My message to all girls and women out there that might just be thinking they are not good enough: you are more than good enough and will excel if you just keep moving forward towards your goals. Sass Granville, football coach and MenCap ambassador. Football coach Sass Granville. Growing up, I was always taught the importance of being respectful and caring of everyone. I have cerebral palsy and a learning disability, and so have to adapt many of the things I do that most people consider to be normal or day-to-day. I have been very lucky to have some great female role models around me, both in my immediate family and some of the kind people who have supported me. My older sister, Roxy, has taught me some invaluable life lessons. Most notably, the importance of taking time to appreciate yourself for who you really are, and to embrace being different. My mom has also helped me to grow into a confident and independent young woman. Without her support and encouragement, I would not be where I am today. I work hard to make sure my disability doesn't limit me and view it as a part of my life that I live with. I really appreciate it when people acknowledge and consider this and ask how they can help, rather than making assumptions or sometimes not seeing and noticing. From a young age, I always looked up to my grandma, who taught me some of the most important life skills. She was a kind, patient, and lovable person who always showed time for everyone. International Women's Day is a great opportunity to highlight fantastic achievements and the importance of difference. I would say never give up on your dreams and don't let anyone bring you down. Keep doing what makes you happy and build strong relationships with female role models around you. But most of all, don't let anyone ever tell you that you can't do something because of your disability or your gender. Dr. Maheshi Ramasamy, Senior Clinical Researcher at the University of Oxford and member of the Oxford Vaccine Group. It is a really extraordinary time for women in science. In many ways, the pandemic has impacted adversely on women in terms of increases in domestic violence, women seeing their careers impacted, and women having to bear the brunt of childcare. Dr. Maheshi Ramasamy is a member of the Oxford Vaccine Group, Image, Tim Anderson. But I am grateful that women's roles in healthcare and science have been highlighted and celebrated. When I started out as a junior doctor 20 years ago, there were very few female consultants and female role models. It's been incredible to see how much the situation has changed. There has been a real shift in the numbers of women in my specialty, but we still have a long way to go when we look at senior management. I hope in 10 years' time it will change again. Maheshi was part of the team that created the AstraZeneca vaccine, Image, Getty Images. I am very lucky to come from a family that celebrates female education and where working women have been the norm. My great-grandmother was a real trailblazer of her time. She was the first woman to be a school principal in Sri Lanka. And my mother was a scientist. That's quite unusual in an Asian background like mine. It has never occurred to me to not pursue the career I wanted because I have been surrounded by these amazing women who have always done what they wanted to do. And there are so many women we can look up to now who are reaching those peaks. Baroness Hale was incredible as President of the Supreme Court. For a woman of her generation to have got to her level is an extraordinary achievement. And to see a woman of color like Kamala Harris become U.S. Vice President is pretty remarkable. I hope we can reach the stage where we can talk about them not because they are women, but just because they are amazing people. I am glad International Women's Day exists, but it's a shame we need to have an International Women's Day at all. Sass and Jessica Jane are myth-busters for the learning disability charity MenCap. For more information visit mencap.org.uk/mythbusters. Gloria is part of ITV Daytime's celebration of International Women's Day. Watch Loose Women weekdays from 12:30 p.m. on ITV. Read more. Inspirational Women of the Year from Oxford vaccine creator to Marcus Rashford's mum. Read more. Ex-Met police officers call for force to be overhauled after Cressida Dick quits.